This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Hi, and welcome to Pyramid One Radio. Welcome to A View of Humanity with your host, Jamie Clark. Jamie Clark discovered that he had the gift of psychic intuition and could also communicate messages and feelings between people living and those who have left this physical plane of existence. In other words, he can communicate with those we have loved and lost. Now, with thousands of powerful connections made worldwide and years of experience as his guide, Jamie offers this healing phenomenon to those who need it most. People searching for life direction and guidance, as well as those seeking answers and closure from family and friends that have passed. How does Jamie's mediumship work? Let him tell you. Listen carefully. Triangulation of communication. He says, each of us is like a radio tuner. We have the ability to tune into many different channels. Before I read someone, I tune into our loved one's channel and send out an invitation of communication with you. Our souls are like fingerprints in a way that each of us is unique. Our loved ones know our soul print. And by our invitation and their realization, they now create a triangle of communication. Jamie says, Jamie to them to you, and you to Jamie. They know that Jamie is on and are receptive and will sometimes come early to understand Jamie's rules and regulations and how most effectively to communicate. Now that we are all on the same channel, let's work together as a team. Let me introduce to you, to the world, to the universe, Mr. Jamie Clark.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing, sir?
Oh, baby.
Oh, man, today I want to get right into this. We have Marc and Phyllis Brinkerhoff. And I just want to share a little bit of the bio of Marc and some of the life experience so that you get an idea of who he is as a being in a soul part of consciousness. It's very, very interesting. I've never met you physically, but I'm looking forward to it as well. And Marc is an ET contactee, lucid remote viewer of his ET family or oversoul crew. He is a self-aware aspect from 12th plus interdimensional, actually dimensional universals of the Christ group, Intergalactic Mission, and the Asteron Intergalactic Command. Marc is an actual walk-in who remembers his this life completely, unveiled from his previous reality. Extraordinary pioneer, remote viewer Ingo Swam identified Marc as his own higher self and a walk-in the day he met him. Marc and Phyllis remain close friends over 18 years, and Marc is able to often call in interdimensional extraterrestrial light ships, or UFOs, to be witnessed and photographed to bear witness to his ongoing contact. He has had a number of physical encounters through his life, in addition to his daily ongoing lucid remote viewing, contact with his oversoul and crew. And Marc can be seen in the award-winning film by James Cameron, The Hidden Hand. His presence in the film provides benevolent aspects of human and ET interaction. Incredibly gifted as a mystic artist, Marc can see and illustrate amazing non-physical beings through his highly developed mediumistic abilities. This includes ETs, interdimensional beings, and the elemental kingdom, which is the domain of angels and the fairy kingdom. He is currently writing a book on fairies and angels, and he is also currently writing a book on omniversal symbols. he has been gifted to bring in at this time. Phyllis and Marc have been together for over 40 years. She has witnessed countless UFOs and loves to say the questions she asked the ET Oversoul crew and could fill a library of metaphysical books, especially as it pertains to consciousness and spiritual evolution. Marc and Phyllis have shared incredible lucid out-of-body experiences and waking visions, confirming for her the reality Marc speaks of. She handles all of the technology, including the website building, book design, production, and workshop presentations, and more. She creates all of the animations of UFOs that Marc shoots, and says she will provide raw files to any credible organization who wants to investigate his UFO photography. Marc and Phyllis feel it is time for the sleeping souls to awaken to their own magnificent, multi-universal selves. Ladies and gentlemen, Marc and Phyllis Brinkerhoff. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Well, there you go. And before we start, I would like to play some, because you just said it in the end of your your dissertation. was that well it was anyway, but the idea is this: a long time ago, okay, people were saying, the news was saying, oh, there's ETs, there's spaceships, there's another extraterrestrial family coming to Earth. Okay, now let's go to one of the sources. This was 2 years ago. Okay, not now, 2 years ago.
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real. They don't call them UFOs, they call them unidentified aerial phenomena. The several videos they're talking about were recorded years ago by fighter pilots. Then in 2017, they were made public by the New York Times. More now from our Randy Kay.
That was on the radio and the TV 2 years ago. And look where we are right now.
Huge.
We are now coming into an age where people are accepting it. They're opening up. They're actually waking up, in a sense, that we are not alone. And you guys are going to tell everyone why we're not alone.
We're right there, like, yeah, we'll give you some insight. And so much beyond that, man.
Not me.
So, Marc, from a very young age, which I myself was activated at a young age, as a walk-in, could you share a little bit? What exactly is that for people?
Well, a walk-in, what we call now on Earth a walk-in. In my time, I didn't call it that when I was a kid. I just said I came in, or I just came down. I had no really word for it until I saw some books like Ruth Montgomery wrote in the 60s. And we actually met Ruth Montgomery in 1980. And she said, you're the second walk-in I've actually met. Many people think they are, but they're not. They have experiences. So it's usually, we'll get into that if you want, how that happens.
Heck yeah.
But what it is a soul takes over a body or a baby, like I did, that's either died in an accident, was killed, the soul left, and then a walk-in soul will come over and take it over. But it's usually set up. It's not like you just...
by the way, yeah.
Jump in there. It's not what they do. It's all set up. I just realized how funny that sounds. Like somebody's dead on a highway, but they won't take over a body that's been really damaged. It has to be workable.
Functional, yeah.
And you're in New York, don't forget, too. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, we're functional here.
I want to bring something up on that one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so they take over a body. It's always set up beforehand. It's not something any soul just walks in and does that. It's accidentally happened, though, in ancient times or 30, 50 years ago, in India maybe, because they believe in reincarnation. So somebody might die in a hospital, but someone who died in another hospital might transfer into the same frequencies with the waiting areas, even though they're hospitals in two different countries. And that this happened. So I won't say anything about the name because I don't remember the name, but it was 1960s when I read it, that a woman came by and thought she was going on. She didn't know she was in waiting zone, and she saw a person lying on the bed, and she thought, oh, I should go back to that. It wasn't her body. It was this other person in India. So that person had left that body and died. She went and sat in it and lay down and activated, and the doctors were jumping the person with their hands and everything, and she came to life. But now the other soul's gone. So that one happened a long time ago, and she remembered being in, let's say, Switzerland, wherever she came from, and now she's in India and can't speak the language. So she's speaking her language. It became something strange, and then the families got together, it's friendly. But that can happen. That's rare. That's super rare, because usually a soul is guided to not go near other hospital realms where the people are being taken care of in the physical densities. And it can happen, that little crossover. So that's not normal. That's rare. But if a walk-in takes over, what we're calling a walk-in, the soul will take over another body that the other soul previously had, or vacated, or had died. So they can acclimate that, and creator, not the soul, gets in the body, connects to it. But we have to still wait for the infinite creator to send that spark that starts the heart to beat. Now, if a person was jumping a person, they were doing that, and a soul went in, and they get it to activate, it's still the creator that's going to start that heart. No one understands it, but it's what goes on. So it's happens where it's set up in that
But
way.
going back to your particular situation, which is completely, highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely.
Mine was a different kind of situation. My mother had miscarriages, and then even after I was here, she had miscarriages. But she had miscarriages and went to the hospital at 8 months pregnant, and she was having a miscarriage, or something going on, like things were happening. So I was waiting with my guardians. We have, angels are friends too, but they're not souls. They're angelics. But on the high realms we come from, where our real home is, on the highest levels, higher than the 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th, that's our real places. The angels work with us, like archangels and everyone. We all work together. And so in space, we kind of resemble each other in certain ways, but they work with us as friends. So your guardian angels are actually friends from thousands and thousands of Earth time years, millions, that you've worked with before. So when you come into a dense level, one of your friends will say, I'll be your guardian, I'll work with you, and my friends will work with us. And that's how you have extras around you. So what happened is, I was waiting in the high realm, observing everything that was happening on the Earth at the time. And I came to basically rescue Phyllis, my wife, whose aspect is the higher over part that I'm with on the other side. Phyllis is an aspect of her own higher self and oversoul. So that's what the oversouls do. They send down aspects, or a higher self then will send down an aspect to the Earth or planes, wherever they're working, and the higher self will observe from the frequencies, so that when you leave out a body, you sometimes connect to your higher self, and sometimes will go into that higher self body and blend, and they will give you a visual of what's going on our ships or any place out in space, and you can come back with some of that memory. If you focus and really focus on it, you can actually recall the memories as well. But people have to program that for themselves. So when I was waiting, watching, something went wrong in the ER where she was, and the soul, a little soul, came out of my mom's tummy. Now I was watching from high above, way high, which looked like 7,500 feet up in our mind, but tuned in like a zoom in, and this little spirit energy comes out of my mom, comes floating, zooming up past us. As it's coming past myself and my angel, it says, the baby's going to be born dead, I'm leaving, and it transformed from a baby to a 30-year-old and went straight up and disappeared into the next level. So my angel says, do you want to try this one? Because we had set things up that there's not too many people I could get in to find. I had to have a connection on this planet because I had no karma here, and I've only walked on it as an Ethereum in ancient times. That's where people have met me from before. Atlantean times, Hopi times, native times, dinosaur times, whatever. Yeah. Way back. We were here before when the Earth was forming. We were watching it. So what's going on is I said, okay, I'll go down to see if I connect for frequency-wise. It's like energy-wise. I said, let me see if I can work with this. That's how we speak. So I went down, hovered, felt I could connect. The energy will work fine. Baby was okay, basically, but there was things wrong. We won't go into it, but there's things that were a little, what's going on? So the baby was going to be a stillborn. So I got in, and when I got in, I have to connect the head area and in the heart to solar plexus area. So when you come in, you have to see how this little baby is shaping upside down and which way it's going. And this one was having trouble and was going to be a stillborn. So I connected upside down into it, and I have a lot of energy. So we had to connect in and pull it in. A lot of energy to confine myself and push myself down. So I connected, and when that happened, I was now listening from outside my mother's tummy, let's say, and I could hear the nurses saying things like, something's wrong, everything's all, but suddenly everything's all right. We don't know why, because everything was wrong. The buzzards and death and line, you know. Yes, and I said, that's because I came in. I said that telepathically. I said, that's because I came in. And then, but I forgot, when I connected, I had to wait for that spark, the energy that the creator sent as a spark.
Did you see it? Did you feel it? What happened when it was sent and activated?
It's like a little bright light flash with an action of feeling of like electrical.
You know, if I can, you bring up a very interesting dynamic, which is something that I had asked, and that is when I do the mediumship, one, everyone's a psychic medium. But two, there's a lot of times where I'll connect with animals and little babies who didn't necessarily make it here that are coming through talking to me like adults in English. And the very thing you just said is like, yeah, it's a light bulb going by going, hey, by the way, I'm done and I'm 30 years old. Convenience
just
of
take that form. Yeah, like
now,
28, 30, whatever. Like young.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing.
I'm sorry, they won't look like the person they left.
Yes, sir.
Not always, not always. Sometimes now today, let's say someone's in a car accident, they'll get out of their body looking sort of like the way they look on the earth, looking in a mirror. If they know that they are more than they think they are on this planet, they can go, and well, it's rough. I mean, I'm talking about people like intuitives and everything. If they know that they're more than they are here, that this is just one of their lives from another ancient time, they will say, when you get out there, you could say, to the higher realms, you could say, I want to see myself the way I am as my true self appears as I work in all these places in the universe and omniverse.
Will
and
you show?
You can see that you have to, out of body, you could program yourself, but you have to program it, because when you're out of body walking through, let's say your house, and you see a mirror on the wall or in a bathroom mirror, and you might walk by, you won't see a reflection. You'll see nothing. If you program, I will program and say, I am going to see myself in any reflective object, including windows, anything that reflects, chrome, I don't care what it is, I will see myself and stop and notice my true self the way I truly appear on my oversoul or higher self form. So like Ingo saw me as my higher self within here, which is not the way I look here. And you'll see me on the website. You'll see a picture of me and another picture next to me. And it would be looking sort of this way.
Beautiful.
Okay, so we can have any color hair you want, any color eyes, but any color skin. So it's all the same. We could be anything we feel. But when I've been out of body, I see myself in reflective objects. I see myself in the blue spacesuit or whatever I'm wearing at the time. Nice. So you can have auburn hair, dark hair, blonde hair, no hair, whatever you want. So I tell people, program yourself at least for a week if you're not used to this. And so you say, that not my will but yours, meaning creator, be done. But I'm asking that I see myself in a reflective way, in a mirror, window, apartment, in my window, mirror, or anything. And I will stop and notice, and I will see my true self. I've tested it for people, and it does work. So you could walk by and you see a living room mirror. Let's say you're walking by and you're out of body, and then you're drawn to go, wait a minute, look at the mirror. And there you'll see yourself. If I'm not very tall, I'm like, what, 5'3" and change at the most? Not very tall. And the out of body, 8 feet, 9 feet out there. Mm-hmm. So when you see yourself in that mirror, you will see yourself. If you're 5'8", you will see whatever size you take on the other realm. And usually it's 6 to 7 feet and 7.5 feet on this realm. If you're from space or working from space, we come in and try to compress ourselves to about 7.5 feet if we can do it. If you don't, it's about 8 feet. So yeah, the women come in about 7.5 feet. Phyllis comes out of body with me. We're staying in this room here, and I was awake when I was doing this with her walking through, and we have a beam. The beam was in my face. Like looking through the beam, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the beam in our. Oh, there it is. So
Wow.
that
It's big.
but where we are, even though Phyllis and I were together, we were physical on that dimensional space.
Of course.
But walking through this planet right here now in this frequency of this room, you could see all the furniture, but you're invisible. So you're in that etherical frequency. So the beam is now transparent through me, but a shadowed thing, and I knew it like that. It was just funny. But this is what you got to get used to. If you walk through walls, you'll see the wall. You'll walk through it. So actually, that's what we were doing. But coming back from the craft, we'll be working. Did I finish?
Dang.
Like walk-ins or
Well,
not?
you know, the thing about the walk-in
It's
situation, just to clarify a little bit further,
Phyllis,
is that, you know, because Mark just makes a lot of assumptions, like everybody may know his story. But as he was coming in, he knew that he had something to do here, and that he had been the one that was selected from the crew, but he didn't at that time know that it was to come to get me.
right, as a youngster,
That developed
as a kid.
When he was ready to figure that out. That's when that information
More came in
was
later.
disseminated
Yeah, when I was in my teens and
clarified.
and at my middle teens, I knew there was someone on planet that was out there, and I just knew, but I was waiting, and I said, guide me," and they did. They gave me visions and everything. But
And to find your home now. Phyllis, you're like, finally, somebody, I'm not alone. I certainly understand that capacity.
The funny thing is, I had a UFO experience in '87, and
you mean when in Long Island?
Yeah, in Long Island.
77.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
77. And thank you, Mark. And then I started studying everything I could get my hands on regarding UFOs, and I landed up in a metaphysical bookstore, so I started taking the metaphysical track rather than the nuts and bolts track. And I read about a guy named George Van Tassel, who was communicating with Etherian beings from higher frequencies, and these are all these beautiful, benevolent, brilliant beings. And I said at that point, I said, I will never be happy with a mere human. I need an extraterrestrial. I put it out.
And it sounds like it worked.
Hey,
No.
Jamie, I've got a question.
Yes,
When
sir.
we're talking, do you see us in a larger screen?
I
Or-
see, I
Sure,
just see
yeah.
half of the screen. Yeah, it's like half of it is Bob, and then half of it is you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you look handsome, by the way. Hey, here's an interesting question. Because with the walk-in dynamic, are you seeing more people being walk-ins of people who have been here like in their 20s and 30s so that they cannot have to take the 20-year learning curve and then be here? Are you seeing possibly more of that happening because of the speed up of what was happening? And in that, if you're getting, do you have to honor that person's soul growth and experience to where if they had some things to accomplish and they chose to check out early, would you have to facilitate that and then be able to do your own plans, or how would that work for you?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. Because I've noticed that some of the karma that was with this feat when I took over, because it left and I came into that time, then some of the things have come on me, I felt, right, Phil? It's seemingly some things that comes with that, I won't even say, I don't know.
That personality.
The personality.
Sure.
Amen.
Right.
And I struggle with that.
But not a
And
lot.
not a lot.
Not a lot.
But I've always been an artist that came with that. That's I'm self-taught, everything I do it that way. But I have to say,
I think you have to say
it's,
that because he lives in two worlds simultaneously, consciously, he's
And
losing
more.
remote viewing, right? Remote viewing his. I'm always talking to multiple people. It's just like, you know, nobody may be here but us, but we're having conversations.
Yep.
And so he had that. That was always going on. Since when he
Yeah.
was in the womb.
yeah.
He was in two. He's lived in two
Even I was
places.
in the womb, and my mother, when I got connected in there and was connected, as soon as the nurses said, we didn't know what happened, but we don't know why. I said, that's because I came in. I felt they were going to do something with my mom. And then I pulled back out of body, and I watched from behind as the doctor came around and the nurse, and they wheeled her out the doors They were setting her up. She told me this. It took me years to get her to tell me the truth because she thought somebody told me my experience. I said, why would somebody tell me what I remember? That didn't make sense. I was telling her, remember that when everything went wrong and suddenly went all right? That's when I came in. And she would say, who told you this? So she questioned me one day, and I was asking her this since I was 4.5. She wouldn't talk to me about it. And roughly around 7 to 10 years old, within that time I was asking her, finally she said, okay, what do you remember? So I told her. She goes, how many doctors were in the room? I said, 1. She goes, how many nurses? I said, 2. She goes, was there anybody around? I said, no, it's a lot of machinery behind him doing all this stuff. And this is in the 1950s, like in an old sci-fi movie. And she's going, no one knows that. So the funny thing is my father told me that when that day happened, he was in the waiting room and the doctors came out to him and said, a doctor comes out and he said, we can only save one. Who do you want us to save? And my father said, my wife. So that happened around April 6th or something like that. I'm born May 18. My birthday was just last week. So,
Happy birthday.
So it's funny how this works, and he was happy I came in, and my mom too, but as time went on, my father recognized I wasn't from Earth, because I was telling him things when he'd ask me questions at 4.5 years old. I was telling him about the solar system, the moon, what's inside the moon, what's going on, how's the base, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But he would say, no, he loved astronomy, but he didn't tell me anything about astronomy at 4.5. So we knew each other from space, and that was the reason we found this body to come into in that time. So it was enough time for me to be alive and still meet Phyllis, because there's not much time left for this solar system, what's going through in our galaxy. And that's why I came in, because there is, and that's my message too with Phyllis. Our message is to everybody,
get your act together.
Get your act together. You don't want to be on this 3D birth dense, heavily physical dimension anymore. You can move to other planet systems and all the higher dimensional spaces of Ethereum. You can work out things you have to do karmically. Now, if people killed and murdered people intentionally, those people have to come back, and it won't be to a high etheric level. It'll be to a dense level similar to this planet right here. And it might not be this planet, because this planet is going to go through some things that might look like caveman days. So we got to watch out. People think there's something else happening. That's true. There's different things happening on different dimensions, or let's say close realities. But they will be taken to another planet system and another galaxy behind our galaxy as they move through space. That will be to a planet similar to this planet and similar to its frequency, but not as evil or negative. So that soul, if they were evil here, have a chance to get that out of their
system,
karmic
so
level, let's say, karmic, and get rid of that and move through in a higher dimension coming through. And everybody gets rescued, basically, because
eventually
they got there forever to get there.
Eventually.
Yes. No one's ever lost. Exactly.
No,
never.
Right there with you.
We say that. For centuries, it feels like Earth, but for 20, 30 years, we've been together for a long time. So like a long time now, we've been talking this. Nobody's condemned forever. That's a fake thing about these ancient writings, that we felt the negative beings who influenced a lot of people in those days, even though they say, oh, no, it was from God. We know from watching what's going on in this planet for billion years, actually. Billion. So the thing we've been watching and see how the manipulators are, the ones who have fallen, have changed things, make fake ancient news, as we call it now, that they made them write script and things, and they embedded them, planted them, put them in a container, and if it's found.
Scrolls, right.
So it's all different mishmash stuff. And you have to know how to discern from your soul what truth is. And this planet has been hiding it for a long, long time. They worship the wrong beings, let's say, Baal or whatever you want to call that being. And we know that's a fallen one. So they want sacrifice on this planet. That's what's been happening for thousands and thousands of years.
But what we're promoting is that even that being can be saved.
Even that.
At some point down through time. So
Yeah.
that doesn't really fit with some dogmatic teachings. But the fact of the matter is, if people just used logic and realized that if the Creator didn't love all of its creation, it would have just blinked it out, and those beings would no longer exist to even be a problem. But because it loves the creation, and we decided to, play in the lower frequencies,
challenge themselves, the soul.
And say it was easy.
Yeah. We know from the realm where I've read, I see things up there, and I've been allowed to bring this stuff back now. And that the real truth of things that no one knew about, like why are the Jewish people called the chosen people? I've asked people a lot, and they don't know.
Do you know?
The Jews?
Yeah, we know.
Would you like to share if you're able to, or?
Yeah.
Please, I think that would be fascinating. I'd love to hear it.
And it means all of us are, all the children of the children. No one's separate from anyone in that way from Creator. But at that time, Creator came with that information to watch the children, watch the tribes that were here at the time, the tribes that were forming, and watching them and explore and learn. And those that went for the Baal side, sacrificing and not following the original rules that were set down, and the ancient rules were similar to the Ten Commandments. And then the Ten Commandments came through because, let's say, Moses was given one set that he threw on the ground and crashed. That set had different information in it than the set he was given the second time, which was a set that was set for the earth people today. Let's say earth people or souls at that time, because of what they had been doing and what they had done while Moses was on the mountain. They
were in a sacrifice.
They were sacrificing. They made a golden calf. They were doing all kinds of things, and they were, doing, let's say, all kinds of bad things.
Interesting things. Yep, of course.
Like they do. We know what they do today too. So they were doing lots of things that were not good, and abomination actually to the Creator. But when he came back down, when she was up there for like 40 days or so, he comes down, and they're like, uh-oh, he crashed them because he saw what they had done. And you've done this in front of Creator, who's observing. And remember, Creator, everybody might, maybe ancient aliens, and everybody wants to say, the Creator comes down and the cloud is over the mountain. Well, we know personally as well. With the ships, we will put an ionization field and plasma shields around a ship that's in a dimensional ship that will look like a cloud. And so Creator doesn't need these things. It doesn't need anything. But if the Son, the infinite ones, and there's only three divine beings, that which is the Father, Mother, Creator, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's it. No one else is divine. We're the children of the divine, but we are not divine. We cannot go around saying that the way that the fallen did, because they were saying we're all the same. We can do this and do that. And they, as we say here, me and Phyllis, that Creator gave them a timeout. And what we saw, what I've read and seen on the other side, that's not here, because I've tried to find it here and researching everything and Bible and everywhere, can't find any of it. But I know from the other side where the things that were taken out from the Bible, the Earth Bibles, they were taken away with the information. And I've seen the information up there that was taken out. One of them was, let us make man in our image. Let us means the infinite Creator, it's a threefold Creator. Now, ancient alien people want to say, well, let us meant aliens. No, that didn't mean that. It meant let us, meaning the Creator speaks in that form to itself with us. Like it says, hey, let us make man in our image.
Me, myself, and I, man.
Yeah, and our image is the form of man. That's the form that we call man as male is not what's there in space. Man, M-A-H-N, almost like that sound, is the form of a head, a torso, 2 arms, and 2 legs. Or, maybe you got a tail. It doesn't matter. You got a tail, right. Pointed ears, doesn't matter. It's that form is the form called man or man. And so when he said, let us make man in our image, that's what it was. But that's way before we became into reality as beings.
But the initial question was, why were the Jewish people considered chosen?
Oh, yes, I know. I still got to get back to that. I wasn't losing it.
You're right, me, man. I'm right there with you.
It's fascinating.
She said,
thank you, Phyllis.
And that way, and she will tell me. And I kept thinking, I get back to that. Well, so Creator observed and was observing all along what the tribes were doing, all the different setting of tribes and this and that. And it watched for those who were doing things that were abomination in the sense of killing anything, children as well, just killing and maiming or whatever they do, what they do on this planet. And it said, okay, who's ever keeping the first or the original rules, which was to honor everybody, honor mother, everything.
Love one another.
Who's keeping those rules, which in the ancient time, before Moses, Creator had set other rules in their ancient Talmud or, Torah or something. So it's basically the same, honoring your parent or honoring mother and everybody as brothers and sisters, as friends and family, and to look out for each other, basically, and be your brother's keeper and sister's keeper and watch for them and help them. So whenever they were doing it, when they were hurting children or hurting anyone for fun or whatever they did, and sacrifice for the blood for them to have the blood on the planet, these beings manifest with that blood if they can, and they create sacred sites, right? They keep sacred spots where they put an altar, and they want sacrificing going there, and that they use as a base or an anchor for them to come through and utilize that anchor to project an image or a physical density form. So that's what they've been planning and doing for centuries and centuries and thousands of years. So creators were observing the tribes. So it started observing the tribes that were keeping the rules as close to what Creator asked. No one's perfect. This planet, no one's perfect. So Creator knows that. It's who's keeping this close to the following as best they can. And that's what happened in those ancient times. There was the tribes that went around, and the tribe that became that tribe known as the David line was the one keeping it pretty close to what Creator wanted, and that's why Creator chose that line to bring in the coming Messiah at the time. So that's what was going on. Jesus, as we know him on earth, Yehoshua in space, and Sananda. This is Sananda in space, the way I know him from before I came to planet Earth. And I even told my grandmother, I know somebody else that you're speaking like, that sounds like the same person. And that's how he appears in space as an androgynous being. And the Mother Mary, who is his close friend, is the way I've seen her like this, and she's in her spacesuit. That's the way I've seen her in her spacesuit. So I met her many times, and I asked her one time, because they don't ask me to draw them. They say, no, it'd be good if somebody could see how we kind of look. Because they come up, but they don't remember. And so when I was with Mary one time, I've seen her in casual clothes, the robe, I've seen her in a spacesuit. So one day I was talking to her, like many long years ago, and I said to her, well, how would you want me to, if I could draw you, how would you like me to draw you? And she said, however you want. And I said, well, we know the robe, we know the, I said, how about the spacesuit? And she smiled and she said, sounds okay. They're very humble and loving and gentle, and they don't tell you what to do. They just suggest, if you want to do this, maybe you try that. But with the artwork, they just say, whatever you feel, whatever you feel. And so I did. But I wanted people to see her that way. So that's what the challenge and the times were about, getting the different
so that's why they
came in.
But they had, and the reason that, and most people don't even know this, even in the Christian community, the reason that Christ came in, Yehoshua came in, was to be the perfect blood sacrifice, to be able to, that idea to fight any demonic forces, if you believe in him. It's actually true. It's actually true.
Yeah, it's the free will of each soul. You can believe or not believe. If you believe, you have amazing miracles and things happening like I've had. But if you don't believe,
and the other thing,
it's up to the soul.
The other thing, just to make a note of, is that on these 8th and higher,
above the 7th
frequencies,
higher,
we know who he is. We know who he is. He's not an ascended master. He's not. And so tell him what happens when he comes on the ship.
When Sananda comes onto the ship, which he appears and just materializes on the high realms, we're talking 12th, 10th, 11th planes beyond this Earth plane, which is 7, and we go into the cosmic and the universal levels beyond that. And we do a whole teaching on this, which we were told for years ago to do. I got 1 through 7, and then I got 8 through 12.
Wow.
And people have been asking us about this for years, so I put it together. We did a couple of lectures before, a couple of years now, 2 years ago, and they really wanted this information because it's very confusing how we speak these things. We go 7th level, 7th plane, so dimension, densities, and it's basically similar things, but we call the planes what we would call the planes. So like 1 through 7, plane 1. And this is not taught because this is the confusion that happened. Plane 1 is this place we're right now. Now people are going around from the 1970s going, oh, this is the 3rd dimension. No, we're on a 3rd plane is first heaven realm when we're on the other side. First plane, we call it Earth plane 1 or first plane, is right here where we are, dense as we are. Within our plane are dimensional frequencies and densities where the ethereal lines are. So if I said my friends in space are working on the 3rd density or 3rd frequency, that would mean third frequency from right here. So they're invisible right here walking by us. And they can have children, or they can eat. You know, they can do that if they want. And then the next fourth, fifth, sixth, it keeps going. There's many density levels in each plane. And that's why we tried to show a few on one way. I don't know how to show this exactly.
No, it's just.
But it's like little lines. I tried to show that. But like my best analogy of it is a ruler. And your 1 inch is first plane. And all in between the frequencies, let's just use those little lines of between a ruler of 1 inch. It's just a metaphor for it. But you got to imagine 70 times, you just got to keep going in your mind like that. So they have those frequencies in each plane.
Yes.
So people think when they get to out of body and they go to another frequency, they might not have gone too far, and they go into what they think is a nirvanic level, but it isn't. It's just a bliss level, which is on those frequencies. But when they get to, maybe they might think they're at that seventh plane. That's a really high level, but usually you can visit out of body if you have the energy and the cleanliness and the detoxing of the physical. You can't be on drugs and alcohol and all kinds of poisons in the body. You can't have thoughts of pornography. You know, you can't have
evil
that around you, satanic stuff. No, you won't go beyond the second
feeling
plane.
their energy field. Yeah.
See it, but they can't get beyond the second plane next to this plane. They can't get beyond it, but they'll be shown stuff that makes them think they've gone farther, but it's just an illusion level. And the beings work with them to trick them. And this is the thing we're here to help people with, because I've been listening and watching since I was, a teenager, 12 years old. I was telling people about 12 planes beyond this levels, and beyond 12. But 7 planes around the Earth, there's a whole reason that happens, a 7th around all these different planet systems. Each planet has 7 dimensional planes around it that works with Mars or for Venus or whichever. So if you're on
chakras too, interesting.
Exactly, that's the idea. It's that metaphorically it works with all that. So that's why when they're out of body as an Earth soul, going out of body from your physical, you can make it to those 7 levels. You can make it to the 7th plane without dying physically. But again, you have to be purified. You have to be cleansed. So most people drinking a lot, alcohol, whatever, drugs, whatever. I'm not talking heart medicine. We're talking psychedelics, heavy drugs, or ayahuasca, things like that. They work with different frequencies in these levels here.
Slower frequencies.
And people don't know that. And they go, I had a God experience. I say, you had an experience. That wouldn't be God, but those projecting to you, making you think you had that, because it's still a nice feeling for them. But they didn't realize that the poisons that are in that frequency are in the energy field too. And when you get to the other side, it makes holes and everything in their energy field. And those beings manipulate them so easily, and they don't know, because they can't know. They don't know to discern it if they're just people taking a trip, like regular people.
And do you give people safety techniques? Because, I love the insight, and I think that we're getting enough insight that we, as in this case a human, are becoming that inner space astronaut, discovering who we truly are, which is everything.
I like that word.
And I think, when you can have a partner just like Mag and I, and you're not alone, and you're on the same vibe where you can actually communicate and carry on a conversation, that's huge. Because I think, like I do, sometimes it can be a little lonely going, is anyone else experiencing this? Because holy cow. But guess what? I'm very honored and thankful to have the experiences and awareness that I have. Now, because, man, we could go on for hours, but I want to get into a little bit of the omniversal symbols. Can you share, what is that?
Okay, I'm trying to find one that
You got it.
Phyllis has. That's not.
Well, the book is over there. It's over there.
Oh.
The white book.
The white book. I might have to leave the screen for 2 seconds.
That's okay. We'll look at your lovely place.
Screen.
Well,
Over here.
while he's away from the screen, we have 3 people in the telephone room. We've got people in the chat room.
Here.
Oh, okay.
I believe I sent what's in the chat room to Mark. Mark, you should have it on your
Chat room.
On your Skype.
Yeah, I'm just now clicking on. I'm like,
I'm still reading. I'm going to play a clip. What happened here?
No. You don't have anything I said to copy and paste it over?
Phyllis?
What's that?
Chat.
Chat.
We don't have, all I have is, I wrote cool. That's all I see here.
Well, all right. Well,
Unread.
listen carefully, and maybe you can answer this. It says Rampa said that after a new soul takes over, there's a charge at the cellular level. Maybe Mark, you could comment about that. If I recall correctly, Rampa mentioned something like a 12-year cycle for the changes to complete.
Can you start the letter again?
Are they talking about Rampa?
Are you talking about somebody like,
Rampa?
okay, Earth people, okay.
I would say so. He said that
I read nothing of anybody's information. I only take what I get when I bring it in, because what's happened to me, even in the 6th grade, is I said things and my people I knew would take it and say they did it, and they never did. Because I say, how can you say that? You haven't been out there. I'm talking from my own experience. How can you talk from that same experience? So I don't really read other people's total information. Like Jamie or Maggie, I could maybe look at your bio, and that's as far as I'll go.
That's all you need to.
If you sent me a book, like say you wrote a book, I'll hold it. I might skim it, and that'll be that. I've held books and know what's in them, and that's happened to me. So that's why I check what I'm doing. But I don't read other people's experiences, because I don't, unless they ask me, read this, Mark, is this something happened, whatever. But I don't do that, and I've just been doing this ever since.
Okay, well,
But you know your parameters. That's beautiful. You had to put those in place, or it'll drive you nutso.
As a kid in 6th grade, I would test myself with things. And like, if you forgot to do some reading that you wanted for a test that they said we're springing on you tomorrow, I would take the book and I'd be like, 3 chapters, what the heck? I'm looking through it, but there's no time. So I tested myself, and I said, well, I know our brains are like a Xerox machine scanner. And we know that from space. The Earth brain is your computer in the body, basically, but your total self is the total information within what's inside your head is not for us.
Right, consciousness.
It's like frequency. We're the frequency. So when you're melded with your higher self, oversoul, or any like that, you are having more information there. So I just held the book, opened the chapter, page by page, looked at it, scanned it. That's all I did, and then put it down. Open the book again to the chapter, and now I skimmed each page like this, and I just let my eyes run like a scanner. I didn't read anything. I just let my finger scan line by line, like do. Like people call it speed reading, but it wasn't that. It was because I took a speed reading course, see what it's like. It's not this. I would just go like that and just scan it, fold it, book, and put it under the pillow or put it right next to my nightstand, and know and say, when I fall asleep, my energy field will take everything on that's in this book right now, and I will know it when I wake up. Every answer to the questions I will be able to see. I will automatically know intuitively what it was. So I tested myself. This was a big test, and I thought, look, this experiment. This will be fun. See what happens.
Great.
So I go to school. I'm 6th grade, right? We do the test. So those answers where you got A, B, C, D, black one in, black one in. Everything. I just looked at the question and let my eyes scan the answers, and whatever one glowed is the one I checked.
You see, but that's cheating.
No,
it's energy. Hey, how are you going to read?
Yep.
I went down, and this is the crazy part. I went down the whole thing, saw an answer near the end of the page. I'm at 2 pages of a test. I'm looking at it and like, oh, glow. I check B, right? Then I don't do this. Don't reread things. I reread it, and I went, well, that sounds a little more different. And this question answer down here sounds similar. And I went, oh! I erased the other one and checked letter D. The test comes back the next day. She says, walks over to me, and teacher, she goes, well, look at that. You almost had 100, but if you didn't change that answer. So I realized, that was when I realized, do not ever change your first projection, what it is.
First impression.
Yes. We know that now, but as a little kid, I was like, "Whoa, no!" That's what I realized. And as I looked at that test, I went,
But see, you had it though. You had the information. You just didn't listen to it. So the great thing is you received it.
Right. You second guessed it. You double. It's I doubted. I told some kids in the class that saw me what my test was, and they said, "What did you do?" Because I said they knew I didn't really study for it because I had no time. So I said, "This is what I did," and then they tried it in the next test to see if it would happen, and it happened for 2 of them. They actually
Excellent.
did exactly what I told them to do, and they said, "I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to scan it, like you said. And, you'll see what happens." But it's
Wow.
true. This is true. If you lay in bed with a book near you or a Bible or anything, you will, the energy will be impressed with you with the
I'm going to
music.
try that. That's excellent. Great
Now,
insight.
I realize now I forgot to tell you the rest of that story. On the ship, where I saw from the biblical texts that were taken out, it said, "Let us make man in our image." That was that part. Then when they had a rabble-rousing battle up there, it was really rabble-rousing. And not knowing what they did, a lot of people don't know this. The angelic realm, the angelics, we will call them that from now, and they're not souls. They are substance with creator that's formed, that created.
They do not
pushed
mate
them out.
with souls.
They are not humans. They don't come to be born as humans. They do not do that. And a human cannot become an angel because we're a soul. Not the humans, I mean souls don't become angels. So, yes, I talked to many of them. They all say the same thing because there's lots of stuff being tricked down here as usual. So I said, the angels were formed first,
The battle.
and then the souls came, where Creator made spirit with soul, which gave them free will. Angels have free will because Satan and Lucifer wouldn't have gone against the Creator if they didn't have free will to do it. So people are going, "Oh, angels only know the will of God." I said, no. They know that they can if they wish to follow thy will, but if they start thinking and getting vanity and starting to get ego, watch out what happens. That's what happens to those angels. So they went, okay, so the souls were created too, and they got jealous of that. Those guys, not the good ones. I mean, the friendly ones we know. The bad guys, the ones that fell, got a little jealous, and little jealous, like insulted, like, "What? We're your kids. We're the first. We came. You want us to take care and watch them?" That's the thing that went on. Like, huh? But he created that only in the lower frequencies at the time. The frequencies were not as low as this, but they were still lower. Low, I mean, for their realms, which are 10th, 25, 44. We're going high. We're energy lights, balls of light. And I come from those realms, so I'm telling you what's going on, everybody. So what happens is when you come through these dimensional spaces, around the 33rd, 22nd, you start to form that body called man. You look like a light being, sort of like Knowing the movie. You look lighted, transparent, yet you still can see a facial feature that's your individuality. Your Creator created everyone has an own individual personality, their own self, everything. So you appear as you feel. You're an androgynous being, but you can appear as you want. You can look like a cat. You can look like a horse. It doesn't matter. Unicorns, doesn't matter. So anyway, we're coming through, and you get to around the 22nd to the 12th. We're coming through to those levels, and you start forming a body that's in the form that you think you want or feel to work with, because those levels you can start working on things and moving around on 3D frequencies, and all the levels, Jamie, you know this, all the levels are 3D like this. You're touching stuff.
Just as real as this. Yep.
And this is what people got confused when I talked to them. They go, "Oh, I thought we're walking through each other." No, you're not. You're not just. So we're on the 12th frequency, or the 12th plane, I'll say 12th plane, which is beyond the Earth. Of course, it's not. It's in space. It's here with us right now. A high frequency. People think of
Cosmic.
we want to think of a ladder, but it's really all here now. But it's easy for linear to think ladders. So people say, "Oh, we're going higher." That's all it means. But I know I'm talking too fast.
More fast.
No, I'm listening.
I
We
think
got you.
time's almost going. That's why I'm saying this. So we
We're
got.
going to have you back.
Sure. So the levels are going, right? 12th density, 12th high plane is where we really focus to as our home area for Oversoul. When we're working, we have places in different galaxies. The Oversoul is massive. In the metaphor that they gave me as a kid was a giant salt shaker, and they said, "That's your Oversoul, that's you. All the salt filled in that shaker is you. 1 grain is you on Earth right now. All the rest, somewhere else, to another galaxy, another universe, it's okay." And the Oversoul is not just one being, it is a massive being like the salt shaker, and it has other Oversoul frequencies that it puts out the same way. Then it brings down higher self frequencies to work within these lower frequencies below the
Let's call it
10th.
slower frequency.
Yeah, below the 10th and 9th. So that's when people connect to a higher self on their 5th plane, 4th plane, and we'll take them higher. And then we can meet the Oversouls too. And we teach an activation course that I brought from the craft, because that's where we train Ethereans. Now, I did this to Phyllis when I first met her in 1978. And a few people in England that I met who had encounters and had physical encounter. So I felt, because I knew them from space, that it was okay to share this experience with them and to teach them how you can meet with me on the other side. So I was taking them out of body onto the ships in England,
Excellent.
1978, and everybody's coming back remembering. Phyllis, we would go there too. To this day, Phyllis and I still go out of body together in our other form and come back. So it's onto the ships and training ships around planet Earth, known as Ashtar's crew and the Alliance group. And this is an Arcvana, which is what we call home. This is planet Jupiter, to give you an idea of Earth, and then to see the size of an Arcvana, which could be bigger than a planet.
Yeah.
This is just to give you one idea of how they work, and they're made by thought on the high frequencies. And they look crystalline, but they're not, but they look crystalline. And those universal, omniversal symbols we're talking about appear on the walls, interior wall sections of certain parts of the ships as you walk in the corridors, and you will see them going by. This is called the spiritual defender of truth.
It's beautiful.
And these symbol lines will go through the walls, coming out like a fish. I can't explain. It's like a river of light moving through your walls that are 20 feet tall or more, and they're moving through. And these symbols will move through. If Sananda comes onto the ship to appear, his symbol will come by. And anyone anywhere in the ship will know he's on the ship. And he could appear any moment, anywhere on the ship to visit with you or talk with you. And we have galactic meetings on the ships. So when he comes on, when he shows up and materializes, anyone he's in front of or walks by, you immediately do that, or they do this. And if you're carrying stuff, you do this.
Don't spill it, boy.
Yeah.
Is that the natural instinct of love and honoring? Is that powerful or what, man?
He's the infinite creator manifesting to us in a personalized image for us to recognize as a being to work with it. And he loves us so much, the infinite creator, that he said to me many times, he said, well, the creator's creator. And I'll have to get a whole show on that for you, of what the infinite creator and the threefold Trinity creator working together is, and how they work in space, and what we've seen and what we're allowed to be told. Creator Yehoshua Sanandas told me there are things angels don't know, no one knows except the infinite creator. And he gave me a symbol that represents that and how to explain it to the souls, us. And he is the most benevolent and loving, and what did we call him? The most humble, but the most powerful of all, because he's the creator.
Well, could you imagine with all that power if he got mad?
Yeah, but there's no. And the other thing, that was the other part. That was the other part, guys. The other part was when the angels went upset. Let's say upset. Some oversouls fell with them. Not all, but a couple went with them because they were usurped by thinking that if I hang with these guys, well, we'll have our own thing to do. But they got usurped. But let everybody know, any oversoul that fell has been taken home already, has gone, because they already repented way long time ago, way long. When they realized what the heck happened, they were rescued. But the angels in charge at that time, and you know who they are, there's different ones, they tried to keep them at bay, because those poor souls, they just want to keep them trapped, knowing that they're insulting the infinite creator, knowing by hurting children they're insulting the creator and slapping the creator in the face.
Or by even trapping a soul in an endless reincarnational cycle.
So what happened before they were cast down, when this fight had occurred, and they were pushed aside, basically held in a holding zone, Creator, and this is the part I read on the ships, Creator says, let us create levels, meaning let us, it's a Trinity, let us create levels where they will be put to be, until time has come that they come home. They will repent someday, they will. But let them be put in these levels, and Creator then manifested these low levels coming through now. What we have here, physical density 1, which is dense low. And he said, let us create that. They will be put there or cast 2, so that they cannot come to the levels where we are ever again. So souls, when you have some demonic souls, I'm talking to everybody, souls, children of Creator, when you have a dream or something out of body where a lot of negative stuff is happening, or something's chasing you that seems scary, you're not in a heavenly realm. You're in that second level plane, as we call it here, where these beings are also manifested very strongly. And this level here we're in right now is a combination of what we would call a level of density that has a blending with the negative or little hellish realm. But look what's going on. But they have that ability to do this because they created this energy frequency for them to come into with the blood sacrificing. So the power to create the power to cast these beings away comes from the Holy Spirit creator, the Holy Spirit and the creator, and Yehoshua the Son Yehoshua Sananda, which means son of love on space we have. And and son is not mask, it doesn't mean man. Son means all of us and children as sonship with him. So creator rescues us with his blood in a dense physical reality like this, the densest there is in this galaxies, all of them in the universe. We have 10, right? Let's say 10%. So 30% is physical dense reality like us. All the rest, 70, is high frequency dimensions. So this is not our home. 30% is not our home. Those are. So those who get stuck, the souls that have karmic problems happening, they can get rescued. All they have to do is repent and say, I'm sorry I killed those people, or I'm sorry I did this and this. But the level of what's the whammy and atomic bomb against them is the creator shedding his earth man, God man blood on this planet. He reclaimed it to them. He does this throughout the whole universes. Sananda does this, and I've talked to him about it. He does this on other places when it gets really bad and they have forgotten, only on heavy dense levels. Sometimes he's killed, sometimes he's not.
Really, Mark's the only one speaking this on the planet. So
yeah, I've been talking.
You may or may not agree
years,
with it, but you know.
But this is what happened. So that blood that he cast, his whole blood came out of him when he died. That became the miraculous connection into the blood, earth of the frequency, claiming it back. In space, the symbol of planet Earth, if you saw a star map, is a circle with a cross in it. And that is the Christ symbol, the Christ symbol. That means he's got this planet. He's got it, and the crew and those beings know it. And our crews are all working with Sananda, and our alliance groups, all of them are working on high levels. But when we come to this dense level here, Jamie, these beings that are working around this planet too are just as physical, some of them like us, who don't have telepathy. Some of them are space beings without telepathy, and they don't have knowledge of these other things we're talking about. And they won't speak of Sananda. They don't know Sananda, just because you're on this level or in space and have a million years of experience beside Earth.
You could be extremely advanced technologically and still be a complete imbecile spiritually.
Yeah. That's what we've seen. I've seen it. We've seen it. We're like, okay. So if a person leaves their body and they meet a bunch of ascended masters, because not all ascended masters are real, you got to watch out. I know Cthulhu, he's real because I know him from space, and he was St. Francis of Assisi in one of his lives. But as an aspect now, he's known as Cthulhu here. When you get to the other side and you see a being, they say, well, people, I've seen this here on Earth. They have these people set up.
That's Bob.
And they might say Jesus or something. He's a master of a blue ray or green ray or pink ray. Well, that if you went to the other side and you didn't know he was any more than Jesus, a master of the pink ray, blue ray, he's not going to correct you. He never does that. It's the soul's time to come. So we know who he is, but we're trying to help the people in our New Age friends understand who he really is. And when you call on him, these beings run because they hate his name, they hate who he is, and they hate anything with the light of the Holy Spirit, praising Creator in any way, and love or the blood, the mystical blood of Christ pouring through of surrounding.
But again, you have to have a belief in the whole idea of it, because they can read your energy and know whether you.
They know when you're faking it or not sure, doubting.
You don't fool the universe. Exactly. Yes.
I'm the only one talking this, but I'm trying to help people because this is the one way home.
When we get we're trying to work on the symbol book now, but when we finally get that done, there will be a few symbols in there which I think will be mind blowers, and the people will be able to contemplate them themselves, just quietly in their own space without anybody, telling them what to think, and the Holy Spirit will instruct them.
Okay.
And that's what I fully believe will happen.
Beautiful. It's very nice that you're kind of bringing up a validation. One, that the Christ consciousness is not the only planet it connected with. Right.
No.
But two.
And the Christ group we work with, the Christ group, Sananda created it. No one knows about it. He told me to bring this forth now. He said, start telling them about this so they can have hope for places to go. So we bring people with the activation we do, where you get in touch with your seed atom of your total self. And there you meet your higher self and or oversoul. And people have come to our things, and they actually have their higher self will come up to them while they're sitting in their quietude, will come up and say, hi, I'm you and you're me. And they'll see the space person there or something. And so we've been helping people with that, and it opens up tons. So this is something we do on the ship, but Jesus, or Sananda told me in 2008, okay, they can handle it, but we'll send the people to you. Because we're for the few and not the many, everyone.
Yeah,
I know this is hard to believe this information, but we know we're for the few. And I've met people out of body on the ships, and they're pretend parties they put together where they're out of body, and we meet. And I recognize people from Earth that we're going to meet. So like, I know you, and you know me. So like Bob, we know Bob, we know his wife Diane. So we come to our own. Remember, that's another thing the ship that people do in space. We come to our own. And if it feels right to anyone listening to this, you can get in touch with us on our intergalacticmission.com website. And I'm not setting anything up yet, but we have people bugging me to set it up. But because of our restrictions, as you guys know what I mean, we can't do anything. And in New York, you have to rent places to have big places. So if the person has a center, we could do something at a center. But so sometimes we do things from our own apartment.
Got to do what you got to do. That's the point.
Yeah.
Exactly. Start someplace. Man, there is so much that I want to talk about in so many different ways. And I would love to have you back as a guest on this show. And then I would love to have you as a guest on our show for the Psychic Evolution, the podcast. Okay. We have a little bit more time. We could get a lot more questions, but yeah, exactly.
I didn't show that to your friends, but this is Phyllis and I when we're out of body.
That's gorgeous. That's beautiful.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Just so
See,
you are more than you think you are. Just because you're looking in a mirror, that's just you now as an aspect here on Earth taking this life. But inside, these are cars. We're driving cars.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have different shapes, colors of cars. And we're all beautiful rainbows of love from Creator, right? So no matter what race we're in, what we're doing, we're here for reasons, and we're to make it together, really. We have to make it together and get out of this dimension. We want to get home.
It's all about teamwork.
Yeah.
Mark, Phyllis, thank you guys so much for joining us, and I look forward to having you. I look forward to talking with you guys real soon, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom.
We love
I appreciate that.
Bless you both.
Love you.
Bless you both, and Bob, bless you for everything
Love
you
you,
do.
Bob.
We love you.
Awesome.
You guys are. I'm telling you. When I thought about this, putting you and Jamie together, it just blew my mind. I'm saying to myself, why didn't I think of that a long time ago?
Oh man, we just tipped the iceberg.
I'm serious. I mean, did you see? I mean, it's in your the message over there, Mark. I put down the next show would be Mark 2.0.
Oh, there it is. That's funny.
Perfect.
Adonai Basu Baragas. You say that. That means Adonai
Oh, by
is
the
the
way,
creator.
that's
Basu Baragas.
That's on the intergalactic website under Q&A. There's a few space words at the bottom of the page.
Q&A under
Mark,
intergalactic mission.
And I put a little a file in there where you can hear Mark speaking to them.
Yeah, Niselik Mishumak Tubi Nektanad's a healing frequency that people have worked with and had experiences with Christ come to them. Amazing stuff, but I'm only one little alien here. I'm not a human. I'm an.
We just brought here to play. Right, in this human experience. And who better than somebody who's got some awareness of other multidimensional beingness? And when you can start to discover who you are as that unified soul part of consciousness, and as you were sharing, you're going to tap into another you. It's another you, but you're not being disjointed like, I don't know what to think and where I'm at. It's all right here, right now, that conscious receptivity. And when you can go multidimensional, discovering more of who you truly are,
I wanted to say one thing because I'm coming from, I'm not Mark by any stretch of the imagination, but I just want to get this because I'll forget. Sure, people say, well, I'm afraid to lose myself if I blend into my higher part. And I said, that's not what happens. When you blend into your higher self, you know more, and you can always get out of it if you want to, but your expanded knowledge is incredible.
And you still eternal Earth life if you want. There's things they remember. You remember past times. In your over part, you know all that you've done. In the higher self, you can recall everything you need. So I've come here and I remembered only things when I visited Earth.
We are rude. Please finish.
Great, smart.
Jamie was talking. We had an Earth interruption.
Oh, that's okay. We'll pick this up on our next conversation because we're going even more intergalactic. You know what's really cool is you're kind of validating. My mom and I wrote children's books 30 years ago. We wrote The Adventures of Rocco and Tuki, the Kids from Mars. And now I've taken it to the comic book version, The Intergalactic Adventures, which is, really cool. We'll talk about that another time. But thank you, because you're sharing a lot of my life experience of some of the things that I've been through to go, you only sound crazy till it's validated.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, the problem
Coming to a universe
the
near
problem for people like us is that they're, usually your family members just, they have no clue.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just
My family did. I'm
it's
fortunate.
Right. You were lucky.
Yeah.
But most, relatives,
Most relatives are like,
they want to talk about.
Yeah, well, right, exactly. But that's the point. Kind of like you, my soul knew what I was needing to set me up for success. And when you can have those people to, oh, yeah, you saw that too? Yeah, okay, great. Instead of, oh, Lordy. And when you can nourish that, for me, from a young age, my whole family used their abilities. So to be able to grow up comfortably. And not only that, you were in New York. My mom used to live in Hudson Valley, New York, over a Nike base. Okay. And back then,
Where are
he's
they
in
located?
Sedona.
Oh, you're in Sedona.
we're actually pretty close. We're in Phoenix, which is a couple of hours away, but real close.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
I was thinking of somebody else. Phoenix,
But she would say, she would work, and she had her own dance academy and all that. So at night, there was a pond there. And every night that pond would drain, it would open up, and these triangular ships would come floating out of there. She saw this all the time. And then she's a little troublemaker. So she's like, you know what? I see that again. I'm going to take one of these mirrors and reflect it and see if they do anything.
Uh-oh.
So they did it. Fring, shut off. Done. It was incredible. But she was that kind of a connection where she also met Venusians and other dynamics and, Mars and all that. Mm-hmm. Plus, I want to get into remote viewing. I was trained by Major Ed Dames. So, to be able to take this, and I want to see some of the years if you've done remote viewing for the year 2029.
I had a vision in 1978 of what was coming, and we're now in it. And what was coming was the end. I'm sorry, they said it's over. Meaning, time's up for this solar system and what's going through with this galaxy. But the solar changes are happening. It's not all Earth, man, or
it's not CO2 emissions.
It's caused by the solar.
It's the sun. But
they're using that, I guess, to make money. I don't know how they do it on this planet. But it seems like this is what's going on. The Earth's changing frequency. Our planets are changing. Our sun is changing. And it's happening every 12,000 cycles.
12,000 years.
So we're in that cycle coming now, and we're up. Time's up. And the sun is changing. And they're seeing chemicals in the sun that have not been seen before, which is a sign that they've seen in other suns that have had these micronovas from the our center of the galaxy coming towards us. So right now there's an energy wave coming that's doing that. So people concentrate, get to know the beloved, know who your infinite creator is. The name we use in space is Yahweh, meaning breath of life, because it is the breath of life. Sananda, the son of creator, or the sonship of all of our children of creator, when he claimed the earth again with the blood, he gave that for all souls in all the universe, everywhere. He does this everywhere.
Whether they believe him or not.
Yeah, it's okay if people don't believe, but when you're in a physical realm, you want that, and then you're feeling, he's redeemed me, I'm done, I'm okay. Anything, so all you do is repent for whatever you think you did that's wrong. Phyllis and I do perpetual repentance during the day.
Autopilot.
Bad thought. Okay, I'm sorry, it's Earth. Now, he laughs when I do that. It's Earth, we're here. And he goes, okay, I know it, I get it.
The one, I just want to say,
he forgives us,
in case, somebody's listening for the last time or first time, just try not to hold any animosity, even to the most evil people on the planet, because that's not what we're called to do.
No, love them all, and we pray for the demonic. We pray for whatever they think condemned. They have a chance to come home. They all do.
We're taking it home. And we'll talk to you again, Mark. Thank you so much. Phyllis, thank you.
Well, there you go. An awesome show. And let me tell you something. This is going to continue. Yes, it will. You know what? It's about time everybody gets this information and does something with it. Think. do, and love. If someone wants a copy of this show, I have a special address for you. Just call Pyramid One Radio at USA.com. Anyone, anywhere in the world. Pyramid One Radio at USA.com.
Oh, Mark, we have so much to talk about.
That's
beautiful.
That's
beautiful. That's
no
the Ashtar command, right?
Like him personally.
Some of these beings I've seen in my own, so I'm like, oh, we'll do some talking. That's beautiful. It's a similar look, not the hair.
I wish, right?
Everybody.
Lots of love, man.
Bob Charles. Out!